What are your thoughts on parallel universes? I'm from a parallel universe and for the moment, I'm stuck here. No, I don't mean I experienced some glitch in the matrix, nor do I mean I erroneously remember Mandela dying in prison and concluded being from a parallel universe is a much more plausible explanation for this than the unreliability of human memory. I mean I deliberately came here from a parallel universe using a machine developed by generations of scientists. Being here, I feel obligated to share some information with you that you're not aware of due to the fact that you didn't yet develop the technology to travel between parallel realities. The knowledge I'm going to share with you is going to be upsetting for a lot of you. Due to this, first I'd like to establish how much we do actually know about parallel universes, so you can understand my claims are not simple conjecture. Universe hopping, as we affectionately refer to traveling between parallel realities, is not quite what you'd imagine. The devices we use to do this are as ubiquitous to us, as cell phones are to you. We call them watches. Sadly for me, all our electronics are powered wirelessly, and unlike your phones they don't have an internal battery, hence the stuck here part. Universe hopping itself hasn't been a scientific endeavor for generations. At this point, it's a recreational activity. One thing you guys got right in sci-fi is that parallel universes are pretty similar to each other. So, when one goes universe hopping into a yet unexplored, for a lack of a better term, universe, it's standard procedure to exchange all information about all parallel universes we know of, between each other. All of this data is accessible through our watches. It's a more sophisticated version of cloud storage. I don't blame you for not immediately realizing the implications of this, but bear with me. Billions of people for every parallel reality casually universe hopping, constantly exchanging information means we have aggregated and analyzed data for multiple Googles, as in one with 100 zeros behind it, of parallel universes. There are about 100,000 universes we know of where life just never developed, but other than that, things are not all that different from one another. Yours is the odd one out. Something went very wrong with your universe. I'm going to oversimplify a lot of things because frankly, I'm not a historian, and with my watch not working, I don't have access to our historical records. For some reason in your universe the Sumerian civilization fell instead of acting as a great unifying force, eventually bringing the Roman, Egyptian and Chinese empires into an international union. What you call the Enlightenment happened some 2,000 years too late from my perspective. The Black Death, also known as the bubonic plague, never happened anywhere else. When your Europeans reached what you call the Americas, not only did you not know they were there, you inadvertently, and later very intentionally, decimated the native population by infecting them with diseases they had no natural immunity to. Just so you understand how truly exceptional this is, there's literally only 4 other universes where this contact happened before the invention of vaccines, and there are no universes in which the Americas didn't have their own international union. To truly put things into perspective, before you, the least technologically advanced reality we found just finished colonizing the entire solar system. You're all living in the worst version of reality. You're living something that's truly more horrifying than any dystopian fiction we created. I wish I could tell you what went wrong here. I wish I could tell you what made all of you this aggressive and adversarial. I wish I could, so you could fix this and join the rest of us, but I really don't know. By now, someone most likely already noticed I'm missing, and it's only a matter of time before they figure out where I went. They'll probably assume I'm the first of my reality to stumble upon one of the universes with no life and I suffocated to death, so they'll come with a portable energy source and I can go home. I don't know what's going to happen to you or what we'll do about you. If I were to guess, your universe is probably going to be locked out, inaccessible for travel by the public, like lifeless universes, because I'm sorry to say it, but you're just too dangerous for us to be around. Appliance repairman here. They sometimes make their way into the cabinets of your dryer or in the washer, down the drain pipe, or between the inner and outer tub. If you bag them all up, that should keep them from getting in those areas. One time I pulled a sock out of a dryer vent line, which was pretty wild. Edit. The worst one was a front load washer that had probably 8 socks in the lines. Replaced the bad pump and had to disassemble a couple more times because every time we tested it another sock made its way through the hose. I'll also add a couple tips since this is getting a lot of attention. Run white vinegar through the dishwasher occasionally to clear drain hoses of buildup, also works for washers. If your dryer takes more than once to dry your clothes, clean your vent to the outside, and if your appliance has an issue, wait until it breaks or does the thing every time before you call a repairman, because if we can't replicate the problem you waste everyone's time and your money. It provides a theory on the fine-tuning of the gravity constant of our universe and life on Earth. Where the state of gravity is so precise, not too weak or strong, that it allowed the formation of galaxies, stars, planets, moons, and ultimately us, the strangest fucking thing in the universe it appears. Some say this supposed fine-tuning is evidence of a creator, perhaps even if not necessarily rooted in a god, though it's usually implied. However, multiple universes provides a theory which states that there are infinite universes with varying degrees of the gravity constant. We just happen to be in that Goldilocks zone which allowed the creation of all the celestial elements, so we can exist in the Goldilocks zone of our galaxy, solar system, and Earth. Life appears to be that precise for existence based on our observation of the universe that an infinite and multiple universe theory could explain that. Also, it doesn't dismiss creator theory entirely. If infinite universe exists, then there could be one where creator, is/are present to create the infinite universe, for example, maybe. The concept of universe and its birth is what always breaks my brain. Even if I can't visualize it, the idea of there being a parallel something, life that's nearly identical or completely different to ours, and just the general wildness of the contents of the universe makes sense. If our universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? Is there a limit to how big it can get? Why or why not? Where did the first bits come from? If there's nothing beyond the limits of our universe, then how could something potentially exist within the nothing? How big is the nothing? What does it exist in? The point-line plane postulate is the most intuitive approach I've found to this kind of question, since it starts with a really simple breakdown of dimensions and builds from there. We're all pretty familiar with the first 3 dimensions, length, width, and depth, which make up 3D space. Time/duration is next logical step up as the 4th dimension, which makes phrases like "he's playing 4D chess." Kind of ironic, every physical game of chess is 4D because it uses 3D pieces over a period of time. It goes up to 10 dimensions, and shit gets pretty wild pretty fast after the 4th. This involves parallel universes, different timelines, different big bangs, etc. Couple good vids on it if you're interested. Note that this is all theoretical physics, and there are other models. This is just the one I personally found the most intuitive. The theory isn't based off humans making a choice. The basis of the theory came from observing electrons while sending them through a magnetic field/wave. It's really hard to explain, and I'm definitely not good at explaining it, but there's a lot of good videos online that explain it well. They were basically observing an electron acting in a certain way, and the way it acted was its function, and based off some equations that was how the electron should always act, and they would send the electron through a magnetic field and it would act as it was supposed to, then they would do it again and it would randomly change how it acted. It's weird and hard to wrap your head around. I still don't fully understand it and probably never will. Just pure speculation on my part. However, it makes some sense that how universes are formed is via black holes. As in, each black hole is its own universe. Hear me out. A black hole is always expanding, just as our universe is always expanding. Supports the Big Bang Theory, more or less. Supports the Horton-Herzog theory of infinitely smaller universes, as we too have black holes in our universe. keeps each universe separate via not being able to get out, or into another universes. Expansion of our universe is faster than speed of light, which means no light or matter can escape, so our universe would be a black to outside observers of our universe looking in. Follows rules of why expansion is speeding up, not slowing down. As black holes get bigger they attract more mass. Due to how gravity affects space-time, it would also have its own significantly slowed down time in its parent universe, kind of like the movie Inception. I don't know, just some loose theory. I am sure someone else smarter came up with this theory before me or already debunked it. There's a bunch of theoretical research that points to it being likely, but with every new discovery about the unknowns of physics we basically upend our previous understanding of a lot of things. With theoretical physics, it's quite specifically all speculation. Now, we have some very well-educated theoretical physicists, not U.M.R. Tyson, who are able to make incredibly well-educated guesses, but they are still further from being proven than anything else in science. Some more recent theories think that while there may be a sort of multiverse in some extent, it's not what popular media presents it as, and it's certainly not like Marvel, DC, or Rick and Morty where any and all possibilities exist somewhere. There are just a lot of things that are less likely to happen in any given cascade effect, and the butterfly effect is largely exaggerated in effect even were time travel to exist in that sort of a context. While a true multiverse doesn't appear to exist in Marvel, just a lot of branching timelines. Loki references the futility of certain actions by noting that there are a number of routine historical events in which very little that happens for a significant period of time matters to a given timeline if everything there is about to be destroyed. Ultimately, I think too much is unknown to have any kind of firm opinion, but I'm fairly sure a lot of the experiments at CERN or on space stations which seek to test conditions further away from Earth's influences are done with the goal of testing how much we know about physics is real vs just a misguided assumption. At the same time, there are plenty of decisions that, if they spawned a parallel universe, would create an actually identical universe. For instance, the universe where I choose to put on green underwear today and blue underwear tomorrow is no different to the one where I choose to put on blue underwear today and green tomorrow. Either way, both sets end up in my wash hamper at the same time, they go through the wash the same time, and end up back in my underwear drawer at the same time. Nothing changes either way, yet I made a choice and thus there's a parallel universe where circumstances are the same. And that's just one useless decision by one person. There's so many billions of people, and each of them also trying to make the recommended 8 choices a day, it quickly turns into a ridiculous number of universes which are fundamentally identical to this one, except at some point in history someone somewhere made an irrelevant decision that played out differently. Very little of this is at all comprehensible to anyone below the level of advanced God, and since it is now well established that all known gods came into existence a good 3/millionths of a second after the universe began rather than, as they usually claimed, the previous week, they already have a great deal of explaining to do as it is, and are therefore not available for comment on matters of deep physics at this time. You don't stand the remotest chance of understanding it. You can therefore say what and and even go cross-eyed and start to blither if you like without any fear of making a fool of yourself. The first thing to realize about parallel universes is that they are not parallel. It is also important to realize that they are not, strictly speaking, universes either, but it is easiest if you try and realize that a little later, after you've realized that everything you've realized up to that moment is not true. The reason they are not universes is that any given universe is not actually a thing as such, but is just a way of looking at what is technically known as the osigm, or whole sort of general mishmash. The whole sort of general mishmash doesn't actually exist either, but is just the sum total of all the different ways there would be of looking at it if it did. Extremely unlikely in the way most people think when they hear that. Like there are infinite versions of everything we experience, every decision made. That's not how quantum mechanics or the universe works, most likely. At a QM level, possibly it's a thing, but, again, it doesn't mean the above. We can't hop to an alternate reality. At the universe level, there's a decent chance there are multiple universes in some greater outer space than what we are aware of within our universe. It's possible one or multiple of those other universes has the same core ingredients and rules as ours and in a way would be parallel, but the odds'd play out precisely like ours down to almost every detail, including how life evolved on Earth. I'm very doubtful about that. Aptly said. It makes so little sense that the universe exists. Even harder to imagine that something happened 13.5 billion years ago, that space, time, dust, and gases were formed out of nothing. How long is 13.5 billion years to the universe? It might just be an instant for it. I believe the universe has existed for infinite time before, and it was something that we cannot comprehend. There is no sensible deduction about why things had to happen so suddenly and without any purpose. Nor does it make sense about what will happen to it. Will it go on forever? And what will it become after all life has gone extinct? Or after humanity takes over the entire universe? What then? Everything we do in our daily life just seems so insignificant. The exact number of natural realities are, the number of atoms in the universe, the number of atoms in the universe. This is just the natural realities. It can change depending on external supernatural forces beyond comprehension. A being outside of the universe, one that can change the structure of atoms. The one from the perfect universe. The universe which was able to survive the gravitational forces of black holes and was able to prosper and develop technologies that can manipulate atoms. The being is everyone in every single reality. Because its reach is beyond all. This being is the physical manifestation of all living beings. It suffers from the pain it has to endure. It can't die. It will suffer for eternity. Its only goal is ensuring its own creation. The creation of the perfect universe which it was born in. After all, without its own creation nothing will be created. Because it's part of a cycle. It can't break the cycle. Because if it does, nothing would have lived. After the creation of the perfect universe, everything will restart. It will become the universe. It will be manifested again by its own self in the perfect universe which it created. This new being will take on the life the old one. It will continue the cycle. It will gain knowledge of all. It can't break this cycle because the natural force would restart everything. This being isn't born from the natural. It was made by itself. It is made by the universe. The perfect universe. It is the universe. So I have a bit of an interesting theory on this one, and it kinda ties into my religion as I believe it, but I'll try to make it as religious-free as possible. So my theory is that we are one of the earlier universes to be made. It has long been theorized that, in addition to black holes, there are also white holes, and that they might form a wormhole by bending space, etc., etc. What I believe is that the theorized white hole was actually what we commonly refer to as the Big Bang, which gave birth to our universe. In congruence with this, I believe that black holes are actually entrances to other parallel universes that were also created from the release of energy from our universe into another universe, essentially creating another Big Bang, but for that respective universe. This kinda goes with Einstein's E=mc2, which defines the amount of electricity that is consistently needed for something to travel at the speed of light. This equation also defines, however, that energy is not lost, only distorted. So, in a way, parallel universes are kind of like a distortion of energy that our universe could not contain at the size it was when the black hole had formed. Generally, I think about the possibility of alternate universes the way we think about quantum mechanics. It's all probability based. So in my mind I see things as being the most likely outcome. So basically there is only one universe because the other universes are unlikely to have happened. Yes, Mathematically speaking, that statement would suggest multiple universes exist, but I don't think creating entire universes based on multiple possible outcomes makes any sense. That would mean a simple difference in possibilities creates an entire universe. So the flipping of a coin generated the energy to fill an entire universe, and that is an unfathomable amount of energy. Simplified, everything that is a possibility is guided by what is most likely to occur, guided by physics. A ball will always fall down because of physics. There is no chance of it falling up. So, no alternate universe based on infinite possibilities. Though our universe could simply be one type of existence. Based on the fields that govern particles physics, the idea that all particles are perturbations in a field suggests that different perturbations could create entirely different particles with foreign properties. You could therefore have an entire universe essentially inaccessible to us with completely different physics and particles. And since these particles wouldn't interact, they could be overlaid upon one another and never affect each other. Occupying the same space, location, but never bumping into each other. Do I think this is the case? No. Do I think it could happen? Yes. But it is beyond my ability to prove/disprove.